Anime streaming and licensing is something that I've touched on in my seasonal impressions videos, but as the situation has progressively become worse and worse, I decided that it was time to discuss the current state of things and consolidate my thoughts into a standalone video. Let's start with Crunchyroll, as they're generally considered to be the anime streaming service. Crunchyroll's roots go all the way back to 2006, when they were still hosting fan-subbed content on their site. In 2008, Venrock invested $4 million into Crunchyroll, which ironically drew the ire of their now partner Funimation. In 2009, Crunchyroll went fully legit, removing all legally questionable material from their website in favor of serving only officially licensed content. Since then, Crunchyroll has gone on to become the most well-known legitimate anime-dedicated streaming service, hitting 1 million premium subscribers in 2017. So then, what's the problem? Well, even in a vacuum, Crunchyroll has had its fair share of issues over the past few years. Crunchyroll's subtitles have always been a point of contention, but what really raised eyebrows was last year's video quality debacle. In March 2017, Crunchyroll users began to complain about reduced video quality, but those issues pale in comparison to the bigger problem. Over the past 2 years, Crunchyroll has slowly but surely had shows that would otherwise have been on its platform siphoned away from it by two giants, Amazon and Netflix. In March 2016, Amazon signed a deal with Fuji TV for the exclusive rights to all Noitamina shows from that point onward. Noitamina is a programming block featuring shows that are generally more high-profile and of higher quality than the average anime. Even if you've never heard of Noitamina, I'm sure you'll recognize some of the shows that have aired during this time slot. Anohana, Psycho Pass, Ping Pong the Animation, Your Lie in April, Erased, and Seikano Season 1. These are big shows, and all of the ones I listed were and still are on Crunchyroll. Since Amazon got the deal, Noitamina shows that they've had exclusive rights to include Scum's Wish, Seikano Season 2, Inuyashiki, and Wotakoi. Again, big shows, not as big as the previous list, but hopefully you can see how important the Noitamina block is and why it's such a big deal for Amazon to have the rights to it going forward. But Amazon didn't stop there. They've also been getting exclusivity on plenty of non-Noitamina anime as well. Most notably, they seem to have had some sort of arrangement with Sentai Filmworks. Amazon had exclusive streaming rights to shows like Princess Principal and Season 2 of Umaru. The Wikipedia page for Sentai Filmworks claims that the two signed a deal to stream the majority of their new licenses exclusively on the anime-specific Amazon Video channel Anime Strike. But the source link provided is a spring season schedule from the now-deleted Anime Strike Twitter account. Despite my best efforts, I couldn't find any sort of article or announcement of this deal, but it does seem like it was a thing. I say was because it appears that it's fallen apart. As of January of this year, Anime Strike has ceased to exist, and those shows have been added to the standard Prime Video catalog. If you're not familiar, Anime Strike was Amazon's way of delivering all of this newly acquired anime content. The problem was that it required not only an Amazon Prime subscription, but also a $5 a month subscription on top of that. Not only was it crazy to have a double paywall, but they didn't even have enough content to justify the subscription fee. Presumably everyone else thought the same, as the service was shut down only a year after it launched. Just a month before this happened, HIDIVE got 4 Sentai shows that used to be Anime Strike exclusives. This makes me think that Amazon let Sentai know in advance that Anime Strike would be shut down, and it might confirm that Amazon and Sentai's deal was specific to Anime Strike rather than Prime Video as a whole. At least for the time being, many of these Sentai shows that are former Amazon exclusives will now exist on both Amazon and HIDIVE. Wait a second, who? This is where things get real messy real fast. HIDIVE is a legal anime streaming service that launched in 2017. There's not much information out there, but an Anime News Network article says that the service is primarily hosting content from Section 23 Films, though Section 23 Films told Anime News Network that it is not affiliated with HIDIVE, and the HIDIVE platform will be open to titles from other publishers. So who is Section 23 Films, and how can a platform that is primarily streaming their content not be affiliated with them? It turns out that Section 23 Films is one of the 5 different companies that came from the demise of AD Vision, which went defunct in 2009. Those 5 companies exist as subsidiaries of Acer Media, and another one of those 5 is Sentai Filmworks. How any of this works and why there needs to be so many private firms that are seemingly the same entity is anyone's guess, but it does mean that Section 23 Films and Sentai Filmworks are basically 2 parts of the same company. Going back to High Dive, they put out a statement saying that they acquired the assets of Anime Network Online. Anime Network Online was a streaming service owned by Acer Media. So who is this mysterious entity that swept in and bought Anime Network Online? Turns out that the founder and president of High Dive is also the president and CEO of Sentai Filmworks. My theory is that the powers that be over at Acer Media and its associated subsidiaries wanted to have their streaming service exist as a separate entity, so they created this LLC and had them purchase the assets of this old streaming service to get them out from under the Acer Media umbrella. So while they're clearly working together, they're not connected in a legal sense. It might explain why they were so adamant about High Dive being separate from Section 23 and Sentai, since that's the entire point of its existence. What it doesn't explain is why this service was created half a year before Anime Strike shut down, in the midst of Sentai's apparent deal with Amazon. Maybe High Dive was a contingency plan in the event that the Amazon deal went sour? Since the closure of Anime Strike, High Dive has had exclusivity on new Sentai titles like Mitsuboshi Colors, and the platform launched with the original Legend of the Galactic Heroes. It appears as though most of Sentai's back catalog has made its way onto the platform as well. It's actually a rather impressive showing, but I think they'll have a hard time getting it off the ground with such a horrendous name and almost no brand recognition. Then there's Netflix. They somehow managed to be the worst and best when it comes to anime streaming practices. There's 2 types of shows on Netflix: shows that they license and shows that they fund as Netflix originals. I'll start with the former. When Netflix licenses a show, it's no different from Amazon, Sentai, or Crunchyroll licensing a show. The production of these shows is not being funded by Netflix, rather, they are simply buying the rights to host them on their platform. Notable examples are Little Witch Academia, Fate Apocrypha, and Violet Evergarden, all of which are also Netflix exclusives. Where they've differed from other platforms is in how they've delivered that content. When the other platforms get the rights to a new show, they will almost always simulcast that show as each new episode airs on Japanese TV. In contrast to this, Netflix has infamously held on to the episodes until the show has finished airing in its entirety. For Little Witch Academia and Fate Apocrypha, which are 25-episode shows, they decided to drop the episodes in 2 batches, the first batch halfway through, and then the rest when the show had finished airing. The result of this was both series being fan-subbed and torrented. Seemingly in response to the criticism of this practice, Netflix decided to simulcast the highly anticipated Violet Evergarden. So everything is better now, right? Well, Violet Evergarden certainly was simulcast in just about every country, except for the US. Why a US-based company would neglect its own region is beyond me, but what this led to was even more torrenting. Only time will tell if things improve, but as it stands, Netflix is the last place you want to license a new show. On the other end of the spectrum are the Netflix originals. These are shows that Netflix funds in their entirety, with the most well-known example being Devilman Crybaby, a show that garnered a ton of praise from fans and critics alike. As far as I know, it would not exist if Netflix didn't fund and host it. A show with such graphic content could never be aired on Japanese television. Hopefully Netflix funds more original content instead of holding their licensed shows hostage. So those are all the main players in anime streaming at the moment. Crunchyroll, Amazon, Netflix, and I guess High Dive now too. These services leave us with a highly fragmented anime streaming market, at least in the US. The saying goes that competition is always good for the consumer, but in this instance, it seems to only be hurting the consumer. With the exception of the Netflix originals, there's not any value being added here. Instead, they're divvying up what already existed and delivering it in a more convoluted way. When Amazon got exclusive rights to Seikano Season 2, they didn't add any value compared to when Crunchyroll aired Season 1. In fact, that was back when Anime Strike still existed, so they were offering the same product at a much higher cost. The point of the streaming model is convenience, yet anime streaming is the opposite of convenient at the moment. There is no one-stop shop or even two-stop shop for all your anime streaming needs. Everyone has their own exclusive piece of the pie now, and the pieces that aren't exclusive may be in the future. When you need an anime streaming search engine to figure out where the shows are, you know things have become messy. The consumer is certainly the loser here, but I believe there's an even bigger loser, Crunchyroll. If it wasn't for this ongoing war, they'd probably have a lot of these shows that are now exclusive to other platforms. Imagine a music streaming service that didn't get the new Drake, Kendrick Lamar, and Kanye albums. That would already be bad, but now imagine that same service only streamed rap music. That's Crunchyroll right now. They've lost all Noitamina shows from 2016 onward, presumably all of Sentai's stuff, and whatever miscellaneous big shows Netflix decides to buy up next. Netflix and Amazon Prime subscriptions offer far more than just anime, but the same can't be said for Crunchyroll. I don't see it getting better for Crunchyroll either, only worse. They're just not going to win a bidding war for a license against Amazon or Netflix. While Amazon might have missed the mark with Anime Strike, they've demonstrated that they are very much aware of what anime fans want to see. Likewise, Netflix picked up some of the biggest shows in 2017, and now High Dive is eventually going to have everything Sentai. We're looking at a future where you'll need a subscription to 4 different services if you want to, legally, watch the handful of worthwhile shows that come out each season. Hopefully, I've adequately illustrated how much of a mess anime streaming is in 2018. It's a complicated web of companies, licenses, and deals that I think are hurting the future of anime outside of Japan. If you enjoyed the video, like, subside, and until next time, thanks for watching.